I still can't believe it happened. To this day, I wake up in a cold sweat, replaying the moments leading up to the absolute destruction of everything I held dear, all because of her. My stepsister, the person who was supposed to be family, actively tried to ruin my life, to dismantle it piece by piece, simply because she couldn't stand to see me happy. And you know what? She almost succeeded. Was I wrong for the way I reacted? For the way I finally pushed back, with a force that surprised even myself? Tell me, honestly, if you would have done the same thing, or if I should have just let her win. It all started subtly, as these things often do. My mom married David, my stepfather, when I was 13. He was a kind man, a little quiet, but genuinely loving towards both my mom and me. The problem wasn't David, it was his daughter, Chloe. Chloe was a year older than me, 15, and from the moment we met, she made it clear I was an unwelcome intruder in her perfect little world. She was one of those girls who seemed to have everything: beautiful, popular, excellent grades, and the kind of effortless charm that drew people to her like moths to a flame. Or so it seemed on the surface. Beneath that polished exterior was a venomous streak, especially reserved for me. I tried, I really did. I brought her gifts, I offered to help her with homework. I even tried to bond over clothes and makeup, but nothing worked. Every gesture of goodwill was met with a sneer, a sarcastic remark, or an outright dismissal. My mom, ever the optimist, kept telling me, "Give her time, honey. It's a big adjustment for her too." But the adjustments never came, only escalating acts of cruelty. Living with Chloe was like walking on eggshells. She would hide my things, spread rumors about me at school, and constantly undermine me in front of David, painting me as lazy, ungrateful, or dramatic. David, bless his heart, often seemed oblivious. Or perhaps he just didn't want to believe his perfect daughter could be capable of such malice. My mom saw it, though, and it caused a constant tension in their otherwise happy marriage. I remember one particular incident in high school. I had spent weeks working on a science project, pouring my heart and soul into it. It was a complex model of a solar-powered desalination plant, and I was genuinely proud of it. The night before it was due, I stayed up late, putting the finishing touches on it in the dining room. I went to bed, excited for the presentation the next day. The next morning, I woke up to find my project utterly destroyed. Wires ripped out, the delicate solar panels smashed, the entire structure caved in. It was beyond repair. I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, who had done it. Chloe was asleep in her room, a smug look on her face when I confronted her, feigning ignorance. David, for once, seemed to suspect something, but Chloe spun a tale of me being clumsy and leaving it in a precarious position. And with no proof, I was left to deal with the consequences, presenting a half-hearted, ruined project and getting a failing grade. This was just one of many, many incidents that chipped away at my self-esteem and made my life a living hell. Despite all of this, I somehow managed to thrive in other aspects of my life. I had a small but incredibly loyal group of friends. I excelled in art and literature, and I found solace in my hobbies. I even managed to get into a good university, far away from home, which was my ultimate escape plan. The distance brought a temporary peace, a reprieve from Chloe's constant presence. But even then, her shadow seemed to loom. She'd occasionally send me passive-aggressive texts, or my mom would mention some cutting remark Chloe had made about my choices, my appearance, or my future prospects. It was like she couldn't stand the idea of me finding happiness, even miles away. The real escalation, the event that truly broke me and forced me to fight back, happened during the summer break after my second year of university. I had landed a dream internship at a prestigious art gallery in the city. It wasn't paid, but the experience was invaluable, and it was a massive stepping stone for my career aspirations. I was ecstatic. I had worked incredibly hard for this, building my portfolio, networking, and acing my interviews. This was my achievement, something Chloe couldn't touch, or so I thought. I moved back home for the summer to save money, and that's when the nightmare truly began. Chloe, who was also home from her university, a less competitive one, something she was always secretly bitter about, seemed to redouble her efforts to make my life miserable. She would accidentally spill coffee on my internship clothes, forget to tell me about important messages, or loudly disparage my internship as just fetching coffee in front of David and my mom. It was irritating, but I tried to ignore it, focusing on my work. Then came Mark. Mark was a fellow intern at the gallery, incredibly talented, kind, and genuinely supportive. We clicked instantly. We spent hours talking about art, our dreams, and just life in general. Slowly, cautiously, our friendship blossomed into something more. He was everything I had ever wanted in a partner. Intelligent, funny, and he saw me, not just the girl with the difficult stepsister. We started officially dating a few weeks into the internship, and I was happier than I had been in years. I told my mom about him, and she was thrilled for me. I even, foolishly, mentioned him casually in front of Chloe, thinking that perhaps, just perhaps, she might see that I was doing well and finally leave me alone. That was my biggest mistake. The moment I mentioned Mark, a glint appeared in Chloe's eyes that I recognized instantly. The same predatory look she'd had when she destroyed my science project, or when she'd systematically turned my friends against me in middle school. It was the look of someone who had found a new target, a new weakness to exploit. I tried to downplay it, saying he was just a friend, but it was too late. From that day on, Chloe became obsessed with Mark. She started asking me incessant questions about him, his background, his family, his university. She'd casually drop into conversations about him whenever David or my mom were around, framing her questions in a way that always seemed designed to extract information, not out of genuine curiosity. It made me incredibly uncomfortable. I started being more guarded, but it was hard when we lived in the same house. Then things took a dark turn. Chloe started showing up at the gallery unannounced. She'd pretend to be just browsing or meeting a friend, but her eyes would always follow Mark. She'd dress provocatively, make a point of being loud and attention-grabbing, and occasionally even try to strike up conversations with Mark when I wasn't around, introducing herself as my stepsister who talks about you all the time. It was humiliating, and it made me feel incredibly possessive and anxious, something I hated about myself. Mark, being the good guy he was, seemed politely bewildered by her, always redirecting his attention back to me. He even started making jokes about my obsessed sister, trying to lighten the mood, but I knew it was bothering him. The climax of this insidious campaign came during a very important night at the gallery. It was the opening night of a major exhibition, a huge event attended by art critics, collectors, and potential employers. Mark and I had both worked tirelessly on the setup, and we were both hoping to make a good impression. We were dressed in our best, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. Just as the event was about to begin, Chloe walked in. She wasn't just there to browse. She was wearing a dress that was completely inappropriate for the professional setting. Far too short, far too revealing, and clearly designed to attract maximum attention. She looked directly at Mark, smiled an unsettlingly knowing smile, and then, to my horror, made a beeline for him. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I was at the most important professional event of my burgeoning career, with my dream boyfriend by my side, and my stepsister was actively trying to sabotage it, to humiliate me, and to perhaps even steal Mark away. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have let it slide, tried to defuse the situation calmly, or would you have finally snapped and confronted her head-on, risking a scene that could ruin everything? Seriously, I need to know your thoughts. I watched her approach Mark, her hand already reaching out to touch his arm, her carefully constructed, innocent smile plastered on her face. A wave of pure, unadulterated fury washed over me. All the years of torment, the ruined projects, the stolen self-esteem, the constant undermining. It all coalesced into a burning rage. I wasn't going to stand by and watch her destroy this too. This was my life, my relationship, my career, and she was not going to take it from me. I walked directly towards them, my eyes fixed on Chloe. Before she could even say a word to Mark, I intercepted her. "Chloe," I said, my voice dangerously calm, cutting through the ambient chatter of the gallery. "What exactly are you doing here?" She turned to me, her fake smile faltering, replaced by a flicker of surprise and then annoyance. "Oh, hey, cease. Just thought I'd come support you. And meet your lovely boyfriend, of course," she purred, her eyes darting to Mark, who looked increasingly uncomfortable. You know, the one you're always gushing about. I didn't let her finish. No, Chloe, I said, my voice rising slightly, attracting a few curious glances. You're not here to support me. You're here to make a scene, just like you always do. You're here because you can't stand the idea of me having anything good in my life, anything that you haven't somehow touched or ruined. Her face hardened. What are you talking about? I'm just being friendly, she retorted, trying to sound innocent, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Friendly? I scoffed. Is it friendly to sabotage my science project in high school? Is it friendly to spread rumors about me? Is it friendly to try and flirt with my boyfriend at a professional event? I could feel the eyes of people around us turning towards us, their conversations dying down. Mark looked mortified, but he didn't intervene, perhaps sensing that this was something I needed to do for myself. Chloe's face turned a furious shade of red. You're delusional. You're making things up, she hissed, trying to pull me away. But I wasn't finished. No, I'm not. And I'm not going to let you get away with it anymore. You've had your fun, Chloe, but it ends tonight. Mark is off limits. My career is off limits. My happiness is off limits. You want attention? You want drama? Here it is. And then, I did something I had never dared to do before. I looked directly at Mark, then back at Chloe, and then I delivered the final blow. Chloe, I said, my voice clear and strong. You've been trying to ruin my life for years. And you know what? You've failed. Miserably. Because despite everything you've done, I have a successful internship, incredible friends, and a wonderful boyfriend who sees right through your pathetic attempts. And unlike you, I don't need to tear others down to feel good about myself. There was a stunned silence. Chloe, for the first time in her life, seemed utterly speechless. Her carefully constructed facade shattered, revealing the seething resentment beneath. She looked around, realizing that everyone was staring, that her attempt at sabotage had spectacularly backfired, and instead, she was the one being exposed. Without another word, her face burning with shame and fury, she spun on her heel and practically ran out of the gallery. The aftermath was complicated, but ultimately liberating. Mark, bless him, gently took my arm. Are you okay? He whispered, his eyes full of concern and admiration. I nodded, a shaky laugh escaping me. I am now. The gallery director, who had witnessed part of the exchange, approached me later. Instead of being upset, she seemed impressed. That took a lot of guts, she said, a small smile playing on her lips. It's important to stand up for yourself. It turned out that a few people who knew Chloe from her university had recognized her, and were aware of her manipulative tendencies. My outburst, while dramatic, had actually solidified my reputation as someone who wouldn't be easily pushed around. When I got home, the house was tense. My mom had clearly heard Chloe's version of events, which was undoubtedly a twisted, victimized narrative. But David, for the first time, seemed to be questioning Chloe. The public humiliation, the sheer audacity of her actions at such an important event, had finally opened his eyes. We had a long, tearful conversation with my mom and David. I laid everything out, every single incident, every cruel word, every act of sabotage. My mom backed me up, recalling many instances where she had seen Chloe's venom. David was shocked, heartbroken, and finally incredibly angry. He confronted Chloe, and for once she couldn't spin her way out of it. The evidence, the public spectacle, was too overwhelming. He told her, in no uncertain terms, that her behavior was unacceptable, that she needed to seek help, and that if she couldn't treat me with respect, she couldn't live under their roof. It was a huge moment, a turning point. Chloe, still defiant, packed her bags and moved out to live with a friend. It wasn't a perfect ending. Our family dynamics were forever altered, but for me it was freedom. From that day on, my life truly began to flourish. Mark and I stayed together, our relationship stronger than ever, built on honesty and mutual respect. My career at the gallery took off, and I eventually landed a full-time position after graduation. I learned that sometimes you have to fight for your happiness, even if it means causing a scene, even if it means confronting the very people who are supposed to be family. Standing up for myself, after years of passive acceptance, was the most terrifying and empowering thing I've ever done. And it taught me a valuable lesson. Your peace is worth fighting for. So that's my story. It was a long, painful journey, but I came out stronger on the other side. If you've ever had to deal with a toxic person in your life, especially a family member, I hope my story gives you a little bit of courage. Like this video if you were on my side, if you think I did the right thing. Subscribe for more stories like this, where people finally find their voice and stand up for themselves. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. What would you have done? And what's the craziest family drama you've ever experienced? I'll see you all in the next story.